after some time I was thinking, I'm growing all these things, but half the time I'm not even eating it. Not that it's for me, but I will have to say that, and this is a phenomenon we've seen in all our farms around the world. If somebody goes to a great deal of effort to grow something, and we take it up to the kitchen or whatever, but we don't feel so enthused if the pujaris don't necessarily see a distinction between something that's grown on the farm and something that's born at the shops. I mean, generally devotees try to see, but because when you grow things, they sometimes require a bit more processing, or they don't look as good, or they whatever. But the cooks are very conscientious about what the devotees think about the offering. Some cooks, they won't even use, say, whey in a drink. They'd rather have some fancy flavoured cordial, and the whey goes down glug glug glug. Right? Prabhupada said we should learn the art how to utilise the milk products so that not one drop is wasted. Because, let's put it this way, we've got a farm, the capital expense, hundreds of thousands, if not $1 million these days. Then you've got the ongoing expenses of hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Right, and even if you had to pay the people there rather than devotional service, that would throw another $500,000 a year in wages or whatever, right? And what are we really producing? Well, basically, the grass farms, especially up around North Coast New South Wales, just lots of grass. So whatever milk we're producing, that's basically pretty much the production of the farm. I mean, it's good if we can grow things, but usually if we're not using the bullocks, we're using machines to grow things, we're spending money, so it's not really a production. But the grass is growing and the cows are eating it, we're producing milk, so X amount of milk, which is not usually a whole lot. So if you just imagine the value of that milk, just from a cost point of view, right? It can be a bit demoralising when look, I know different incidents. One time I grew some chickpeas, right? Now I went to a lot of effort to grow chickpeas. There are two varieties. It's called Kabuli, which is the big ones we use in sabjis. Another one called the Desi variety, which is the one, like they look more like dal, they're split, and you make basin flour out of it usually, right? So one time I ploughed up quite a large area and I planted chickpeas, and I was totally bewildered as why they didn't grow. So one day I came down a little bit early from Japa, which I don't normally do, and there were geese grazing it down. They were just grazing it as it was growing. So somehow or another I decided to replant. I don't know, I didn't get rid of the geese or anything, but I just ploughed it all up again and replanted chickpeas. No, actually the first time I couldn't understand, it didn't grow, so I thought something's wrong. So I reploughed it up and planted chickpeas again. Then the second time I came down and found it was the geese. So I kind of gave up for a while. Then, a couple of years later I'd ploughed up all this area and I was thinking, what do you plant this time of the year? I decided to try chickpeas again. It was actually a different paddock. So I went around to the seed merchant and said I was going to take time, 3 or 4 days a week or something. So then went around to the local health food shop, and the person said, oh yeah, I've got some chickpeas you can have. Look, it's not organic, but yeah, look, you can have them because they've got a few weevils in them. So okay, goody. So I planted them. But actually I must admit, just before I planted them, I got the message, don't plant them. I can get money back for those from the place I bought them from, but I planted them. Because I had to plant, when you plough something up, it's a whole big endeavour. If you're not spot on with the planting, then those weeds are going to grow again. It could even be just a day late or 2 days late. It makes a big difference to the crop. Those weeds are germinating, With chickpeas, you're really supposed to plant them in rows and cultivate between the rows, but I was just broadcasting them, and the weeds are going to grow in amongst them. But for some reason or other, had been successful doing things that way, so I did it. I planted them, right? And they weren't organic, and it wasn't a greatly successful crop by any means. So I harvested them by hand. So really, what I got back was twice as much or something. 1.5 times as much as I planted. Okay, so you just see the endeavour to go to get something that's actually produced locally. If you don't know, we're learning, you know. Like, I'm just giving you a scenario. It takes years to learn how to, you know, to get certain misconceptions out of your mind about, say, just travelling with bullocks, right? And you've got to think, because Krishna said, well, actually, I didn't mention that Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishi Godakshavanajam Vaishakama Svabhavajam. The mercantile class of people, and none of us might think we're mercantile, but Prabhupada asked many of his leading disciples to do this. Another point I'll get to. So, we're not really Vaishyas, but Krishna said do it, and it's not being done, and we have to do it. It's just one of the steps we have to do, to go through, to create, you know, to figure out how to work, to make these farming communities work. Which, you know, Prabhupada seemed to indicate was like his second part of his mission. Second 50% of his mission. So, anyway, okay, I got 1.5 times what I planted. After harvesting, planting, everything, so much endeavour, and 3 crops I'd done before, I had a little bit of success, right? So one devotee asked me one time, we had an end of the year festival at New Govardhan, and he really wanted to serve the devotees sprouts. So he wanted chickpea sprouts. So he asked me for them. So I gave him pretty much most of what I'd harvested by hand. And he begged and he begged. So, but it wasn't successful. He didn't rinse them, or he left them in water too long and they drowned. They went rotten. So they had to be thrown out. So you can just kind of understand the stakes of, you know, how devotees feel strongly about this. So, and I might as well bring up this point while I'm at it. I only went to New Govardhan with a gut feeling that I had to get milk from happy protected cows. And morally, that's the right thing to do. And it was only after I started reading Prabhupada's conversations that I saw Prabhupada was saying very, very strong statements about this. So that made me read Prabhupada's conversations more and more and more. And the moral obligation to, you know, getting milk from protected cows is, you know, really one should engage the bullocks in agriculture, because actually Krishna says Krishi Godakshavanajam. First agriculture, cow protection and trade, because the trade comes at the end. Trade means a bullock cart, excess produce. You go to the village or the market and you trade it. So Prabhupada seemed to indicate that in that verse of the Bhagavad Gita, there is actually how do you put it? There's one thing's first. Like you don't do, like he said to Giriraj Prabhu in Bombay in 1977. One person he asked to do this. He said, "Why go to trade immediately? First produce." Giriraj Prabhu, he may have been thinking about getting married or something, I don't know. Later he took sannyas. But there was a discussion about, you know, this is the beginning of family life, right? Keeping body and soul together. So he said, if you want to do business, it requires so many arrangements and adjustments. But for agriculture, you just use your hands and legs. You throw out, 1 kilo of seeds, you get, 100 kilos back, And so Prabhupada seemed to think that this was actually a practical thing.